Before life breaks you, it first trains your mind to surrender. It does not destroy you in one day. It begins quietly. A small fear enters, then one regret, then one memory, then one person's words, then one failure you keep replaying until your mind becomes a prison and your peace becomes a stranger. This is how life controls a person, not by chains, by thoughts they never question, not by enemies, by emotions they obey too quickly, not by failure, by the story they keep telling themselves after failure. A weak mind reacts to pain. A trained mind transforms pain. A weak mind follows every emotion. A monk mind watches the emotion, breathes through it, and chooses power instead of panic. Listen carefully. The world does not need to defeat you if your own thoughts already control you. People do not need to break your peace if your own mind opens the door for them every morning. So today, do not just listen for motivation. Listen like your future depends on this, because the person who masters the mind cannot be owned by fear, pain, people, or the past. And if you are ready to stop being controlled by your thoughts, comment, "I master my mind." Lesson 1. The greatest prison exists inside the mind. Hasin winsam people Dios. The greatest prison in this world is not built from iron bars. It is built from thoughts you never challenged, fears you never questioned, and stories you kept telling yourself until they became your identity. Many people spend their entire lives believing they are trapped by difficult circumstances, toxic people, or painful experiences. But a monk understands something that most people never discover. Long before the world gains power over you, your own mind quietly hands that power away. Think carefully about this. The same criticism that makes one person collapse becomes fuel for another. The same failure that causes one person to give up becomes the beginning of greatness for someone else. The same rejection that fills one heart with bitterness teaches another heart wisdom and strength. The event is not what decides your future. The mind that interprets the event does. This is why the monk never rushes to change the outside world before changing the world within. He knows that if the mind remains weak, every new opportunity becomes another source of anxiety. Every relationship becomes another reason to fear loss. Every challenge becomes another excuse to doubt himself. A restless mind creates suffering, even in peaceful places. A disciplined mind creates peace even in difficult places. Look around you. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their attention. Before they have even taken a full breath, they are checking their phones, comparing their lives, reliving yesterday's problems, worrying about tomorrow, and allowing hundreds of voices to enter their minds before hearing their own. Without realizing it, they have allowed the world to become the author of their thoughts. The monk chooses differently. He protects the first moments of the day because he understands that whoever controls your attention controls your life. Before allowing the noise of the world to enter, he enters the silence within himself. Before reacting, he observes. Before speaking, he reflects. Before chasing anything outside himself, he strengthens what is inside. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of power. Most people believe strength is the ability to dominate others. They want to win every argument, prove every point, and always have the last word. But the monk smiles quietly because he knows that conquering another person is easy compared to conquering your own anger, your own fear, your own pride, and your own restless mind. Anyone can raise their voice. Very few can remain calm when life gives them every reason to explode. Anyone can follow emotion. Very few can pause long enough to choose wisdom over impulse. Anyone can blame the world. Very few have the courage to look into their own heart and ask, what inside me still needs training? That question changes everything, because the moment you stop blaming life and start training your mind, you stop becoming a victim of circumstances. You begin becoming the creator of your character. Never forget this truth. Every thought you repeat becomes stronger. Every emotion you feed becomes deeper. Every fear you entertain becomes larger. Every excuse you believe becomes another chain around your future. But the opposite is also true. Every moment of awareness weakens fear. Every act of discipline strengthens confidence. Every breath taken before reacting builds inner peace. Every challenge accepted with courage transforms your character. This is why the monk trains every single day, even when nobody is watching. He is not preparing for today's comfort. He is preparing for tomorrow's storm. Because he knows that when the storm finally arrives, he will not rise to the level of his wishes. He will fall to the level of his training. So ask yourself one honest question. Who is truly controlling your life today? Your conscious mind, or the thoughts you have allowed to control you for years? The answer to that question is the beginning of your freedom. Lesson 2. Your reactions decide whether life owns you. There is a truth that every monk learns long before he learns discipline, silence, or meditation. Life is not controlled by what happens to you. Life is controlled by what happens inside you after something happens. Most people spend years trying to control the world around them. They want people to speak differently. They want circumstances to become easier. They want everyone to understand them, appreciate them, agree with them, and never disappoint them. But no matter how hard they try, the world refuses to obey. People will misunderstand you. Some will betray your trust. Some will insult you. Some will forget your kindness. Some will leave without explanation. Some doors will close no matter how sincerely you knock. Storms will come when you least expect them. Loss will visit every human life. Change will arrive without asking for permission. The monk accepts this reality completely. He does not waste his strength trying to control what has never belonged to him. Instead, he asks one question every single day. Can I control what happens inside me? Because that is where true freedom begins. Imagine two people standing in the exact same storm. Both lose their jobs. Both experience rejection. Both hear harsh words. Both face uncertainty. One person spends months complaining, blaming others, drowning in anger, and replaying every painful moment until bitterness becomes part of his identity. The other person feels the same pain, but instead of allowing pain to become his master, he allows it to become his teacher. The storm was identical. The outcome was completely different. Why? Because the storm never decided their future. Their reaction did. This is why the monk trains his reactions more than his circumstances. He knows that every uncontrolled reaction gives away a piece of his freedom. Every angry response gives another person control over his emotions. Every fearful decision allows uncertainty to become his leader. Every impulsive choice weakens the discipline he has spent years building. Think about how many people lose their peace over words. One sentence spoken carelessly, and suddenly they cannot sleep. One comment on social media, and their entire mood changes. One criticism, and they begin doubting everything they have worked so hard to build. One person ignores their message, and their mind immediately creates stories that were never true. Do you see what is happening? Life did not steal their peace. Their reaction handed it away. The monk understands that between every event and every response, there is a sacred space. That space may last only one breath, one heartbeat, one moment of silence. But inside that small space lives your greatest power. Most people never enter that space. They react before thinking. They speak before understanding. They judge before observing. They defend before listening. They attack before breathing. And afterwards, they wonder why their lives are full of regret. The disciplined monk chooses differently. When anger appears, he does not immediately trust it. He watches it. He asks himself, is this emotion helping me become stronger? Or is it asking me to become someone I promised I would never become? When fear appears, he does not run from it. He studies it, because many fears disappear the moment they are observed clearly. When sadness visits, he welcomes it without allowing it to build a permanent home. He understands that emotions are visitors. They are not rulers. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing every thought and every feeling deserves immediate action. It does not. Just because your mind tells you to quit does not mean you should. Just because your emotions tell you to seek revenge does not mean revenge will heal you. Just because fear tells you that you will fail does not mean failure is waiting for you. Thoughts lie, emotions change, truth remains. The monk builds his life on truth, not temporary emotion. This is why his peace cannot easily be stolen. His joy does not depend on compliments. His confidence does not disappear after criticism. His purpose does not change because someone failed to believe in him. He remains steady because his center is no longer outside himself. It is within, and this is the secret most people never discover. Your greatest enemy is not the difficult person standing in front of you. It is the uncontrolled reaction rising inside you. Master that reaction, and you begin to master your life. Because the day you stop allowing every person, every situation, every disappointment, and every unexpected event to decide your emotional state is the day life loses its power to control you. That is not the end of your training. It is the beginning of your freedom. Lesson 3. The battle you ignore is the battle you always lose. There is a battle taking place inside every human being at every moment, yet most people never realize they are fighting it. They spend years believing that their greatest enemies are difficult people, painful circumstances, financial struggles, rejection, criticism, or bad luck. But the monk sees much deeper than appearances. He understands that before any external battle is ever won or lost, another battle has already been taking place within the mind. The greatest victories and the greatest defeats are never decided by the world around you. They are decided in the silent conversations you have with yourself when nobody else is watching. Every single day your mind presents you with two voices. One voice whispers comfort, excuses, fear, doubt, and instant pleasure. It tells you that tomorrow will be a better day to begin, that one more hour of distraction will not matter, that one more excuse is acceptable, that one more emotional reaction is justified, and that your circumstances are the reason you cannot become the person you dream of becoming. The other voice is much quieter. It does not shout. It simply reminds you to stand up when your body wants to stay down, to remain calm when your emotions want to explode, to continue moving when progress feels invisible, to forgive when your ego demands revenge, and to stay disciplined when nobody would ever know if you gave up. The tragedy is that most people spend their lives listening to the louder voice instead of the wiser one. A monk knows that the first enemy is never outside. The first enemy is always the version of yourself that chooses comfort over growth, distraction over purpose, excuses over responsibility, and temporary pleasure over lasting peace. That invisible enemy is patient. It does not try to destroy your future in one dramatic moment. Instead, it quietly steals one decision at a time, one missed morning, one broken promise to yourself, one unnecessary argument, 1 hour wasted scrolling through endless distractions, one negative thought repeated until it becomes a permanent belief, one emotional reaction that slowly becomes a habit. Day after day, these tiny moments appear harmless, but together they shape an entire life. Look at the strongest people you admire. They are not stronger because they never feel fear, temptation, sadness, or self-doubt. They are stronger because they stopped allowing those feelings to make their decisions. They learned that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward while fear walks beside you. Discipline is not enjoying difficult tasks. Discipline is choosing them even when your emotions beg you to stop. Inner peace is not the absence of chaos. Inner peace is remaining rooted while chaos surrounds you without permission to enter your heart. This is why the monk trains every day even when nothing difficult is happening. Many people only search for strength after life has already knocked them to the ground. They wait until their relationship ends before learning emotional control. They wait until failure arrives before developing discipline. They wait until anxiety consumes them before practicing stillness. They wait until they lose everything before realizing what truly mattered. But the monk prepares before the storm arrives because he understands that during the storm there is no time to build the foundation. The foundation must already exist. Imagine a giant tree standing on the side of a mountain. People admire its beauty, its height, and the confidence with which it stands against powerful winds. What they cannot see are the roots buried deep beneath the ground. Those roots were not created during the storm. They were created during years of quiet growth when nobody was watching. When the strongest winds finally arrive, the tree does not suddenly become strong. It simply reveals the strength that was built long before the storm ever appeared. Your mind is no different. Every moment of meditation, every act of discipline, every temptation you overcome, every unnecessary argument you refuse to enter, every promise you keep to yourself, and every difficult choice you make when nobody is watching becomes another root growing deeper beneath your character. Most people believe motivation creates success, but motivation is one of the weakest forms of energy because it depends on emotion. Some mornings you feel motivated and other mornings you do not. If your life depends on motivation, then your future depends on emotions that constantly change. The monk never places his future in the hands of changing emotions. He places it in the hands of daily discipline. He trains whether he feels inspired or not. He remains calm whether life feels fair or unfair. He continues his practice whether people applaud him or completely ignore his existence. This consistency is what slowly transforms an ordinary person into someone whose presence alone brings stability wherever they go. There will always be moments when the easier path calls your name. It will tell you to give up because nobody appreciates your effort. It will tell you to seek revenge because someone treated you unfairly. It will tell you to compare yourself with others because they appear to be moving faster. It will tell you to chase approval because acceptance feels comforting. But remember this truth: every time you obey that voice, you strengthen the prison you are trying to escape. Every time you refuse it, you strengthen the freedom you are trying to build. Every difficult decision made with awareness is another victory that no one can take away from you. One of the deepest forms of suffering is constantly being at war with yourself. You know what the right decision is, but you continue choosing the opposite. You know you should wake up earlier, but you continue sleeping. You know you should protect your peace, but you continue entertaining people who drain your energy. You know you should stop replaying the past, but you continue feeding old memories with fresh attention. Every time this happens, your self-respect becomes weaker because your mind learns that your own promises mean nothing. The monk understands that self-confidence is not built by speaking positive words into the mirror. Self-confidence is built every time you prove to yourself that your actions are stronger than your excuses. Never underestimate the power of small victories. The world celebrates dramatic transformations, but the monk celebrates invisible ones. Choosing silence instead of anger is a victory. Walking away from unnecessary conflict is a victory. Remaining disciplined when nobody is watching is a victory. Saying no to distraction so you can build your future is a victory. Keeping your word to yourself is a victory. These moments may seem ordinary, but together they create an extraordinary life because they slowly reshape the person you become from the inside out. Always remember that life is watching how you train long before it tests you. Every challenge you overcome in private prepares you for responsibilities that are still on their way. Every weakness you refuse to feed becomes a source of future strength. Every habit you master becomes another shield protecting your peace. One day the world will look at your calmness during difficult times and call you naturally strong. They will never see the thousands of invisible battles you fought within yourself when no one was there to applaud you. The greatest battle of your life is not waiting somewhere in the future. It is happening inside you right now. Win that battle, and every other battle becomes easier. Lose that battle, and even the smallest obstacle will feel impossible to overcome. This is why the monk never stops training his mind, because he knows that the person who conquers himself has already achieved the greatest victory life can ever offer. Lesson 4. Stop chasing the world. The world chases those who master themselves. One of the greatest illusions that traps the human mind is the belief that happiness, peace, confidence, and fulfillment are waiting somewhere outside of you. From the moment most people are old enough to understand the world, they are taught to chase success, chase money, chase relationships, chase recognition, chase approval, Chase the perfect opportunity, chase the next achievement, chase the next destination, chase until one day you wake up exhausted, wondering why you have spent years running without ever feeling like you have truly arrived. The monk sees this endless race and quietly walks in the opposite direction because he understands a truth that the world rarely teaches. The more desperately you chase what is outside of you, the more disconnected you become from the power that already exists within you. Look carefully at nature. The mountain does not chase admiration, yet millions travel across the world simply to stand before it. The sun does not ask anyone to notice its light, yet every living thing depends upon it. The river never begs anyone to follow it, yet countless streams naturally flow toward it. Strength never announces itself. True power never demands attention. It simply exists. This is why the monk spends very little time trying to impress the world. Instead, he invests every moment in becoming someone whose presence speaks louder than words ever could. Most people are addicted to approval without realizing it. Every compliment becomes emotional fuel. Every criticism feels like a personal attack. They shape their opinions to fit the crowd, silence their true voice to avoid rejection, and slowly trade their authenticity for temporary acceptance. At first, this seems harmless, but over time something dangerous happens. They forget who they really are because they have spent so many years becoming who other people expected them to be. They build an identity from the opinions of strangers, and when those opinions change, their confidence collapses with them. The monk refuses to build his identity on something so unstable. He understands that if another person's praise can make you feel valuable, then another person's criticism can make you feel worthless. In both situations, someone else owns your emotional state. Freedom begins the moment your self-worth is no longer rented from the opinions of other people. The day you stop asking the world to tell you who you are is the day you begin discovering who you have always been. Think about how much energy people waste trying to control how they are perceived. They rehearse conversations that never happen. They replay embarrassing moments from years ago. They imagine what other people might be thinking about them, even though most people are too busy thinking about themselves. They spend hours trying to protect an image while completely neglecting the character behind that image. The monk smiles because he knows that reputation belongs to other people, but character belongs to you. Reputation changes with every rumor. Character remains steady even when nobody is watching. This is why the monk spends far more time strengthening his character than polishing his image. He knows that appearances attract attention, but character earns respect. Beauty may open a door, but wisdom determines whether you remain inside. Wealth may impress people for a season, but discipline will sustain you for a lifetime. Anyone can appear strong when life is easy. Only those who have mastered themselves remain steady when everything begins to fall apart. One of the deepest reasons people continue chasing the world is because they believe they are incomplete. They imagine that one more achievement will finally make them enough. One more relationship will finally heal their loneliness. One more possession will finally satisfy their heart. One more promotion will finally give them peace. Yet every time they reach the next destination, the feeling disappears almost as quickly as it arrived, and another desire immediately takes its place. The cycle never ends because the mind has been trained to seek fulfillment in places where fulfillment was never meant to exist. The monk understands that desire itself is not the enemy. The real danger is becoming a servant to every desire that enters your mind. If every impulse controls your actions, then you are no longer living consciously. You are simply reacting to whatever your mind demands in the moment. Today it demands comfort. Tomorrow it demands attention. The next day it demands revenge. Then it demands recognition. Soon your entire life becomes a series of emotional reactions instead of conscious choices. True mastery begins when you learn to observe desire without immediately obeying it. You notice the urge to prove yourself, but you remain silent. You notice the urge to seek revenge, but you choose compassion. You notice the urge to compare yourself with someone else, but you return your attention to your own path. Every time you refuse to become a servant of your impulses, your mind becomes stronger. Every time you choose awareness instead of automatic reaction, another chain falls away. The world teaches you to become louder so people will notice you. The monk teaches you to become deeper so life itself cannot shake you. Loudness attracts attention for a moment. Depth creates influence for a lifetime. Anyone can demand respect through fear, anger, or status. Very few can inspire respect simply by the peace they carry into every room they enter. Have you ever met someone whose calmness changed the atmosphere without saying very much? Someone who made you feel grounded simply because they were grounded themselves? That kind of presence cannot be purchased, it cannot be borrowed, it cannot be faked. It is built through years of inner work, silent discipline, honest self-reflection, and countless private battles that no one else ever witnessed. The strongest people in the world are often the quietest because they no longer need noise to convince themselves of their strength. The monk also understands something that many people discover too late. Every time you chase people who constantly pull away, you abandon yourself. Every time you beg for attention from those who refuse to value you, you teach your own mind that your worth depends on their response. Every time you sacrifice your peace to keep someone comfortable, you slowly convince yourself that your happiness matters less than everyone else's. This is not kindness. This is self-abandonment disguised as love. Instead of chasing people, chase wisdom. Instead of chasing validation, chase discipline. Instead of chasing comfort, chase growth. Instead of chasing admiration, chase character. The beautiful irony of life is that when you stop desperately pursuing these external things and begin mastering yourself instead, many of the things you once chased begin naturally moving toward you. Confidence replaces insecurity, respect replaces the need for approval, purpose replaces confusion, peace replaces constant emotional exhaustion. Always remember that the world is attracted to people who are not desperately trying to be attractive. Confidence is magnetic because it is rooted within. Peace is magnetic because it cannot be manipulated. Discipline is magnetic because it creates reliability. Wisdom is magnetic because it remains valuable in every season of life. These qualities do not need advertising. They reveal themselves through the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you respond to difficulty, and the way you remain calm while others lose control. So stop measuring your life by how many people notice you. Measure it by how much control you have over your own mind. Stop asking whether the world accepts you. Ask whether you have become someone you genuinely respect when you are completely alone. Stop chasing a life that looks impressive from the outside while neglecting the person who must live that life every single day. Because in the end, the greatest achievement is not becoming someone the world admires. The greatest achievement is becoming someone your own soul can finally rest within. That is the moment you stop chasing the world. And strangely enough, that is the moment the world begins to notice you. Lesson 5. Pain only controls you when you keep feeding it. There is a painful truth many people do not want to face. And the truth is this: sometimes the thing that is destroying your peace is no longer happening in your life, but you are still keeping it alive inside your mind. The person has already left. The situation has already passed. The words were spoken long ago. The failure is already behind you. The mistake cannot be changed. The chapter has already ended. But your mind keeps opening the same door every day and walking back into a room where nothing new can be found except old pain wearing new emotions. This is how suffering continues. Pain may enter your life because of an event, but suffering remains because of repetition. The event happened once, but the mind repeats it 1,000 times. The person hurt you once, but the mind allows them to hurt you every morning, every night, every quiet moment, every time you remember their face, every time you replay their words, every time you imagine a conversation that will never happen. The body is sitting in the present moment, but the mind is kneeling before the past, asking for answers from a place that can no longer speak. A monk understands that pain is part of human life. But attachment to pain is a form of self-punishment. He does not pretend the wound does not exist. He does not force a fake smile over a bleeding heart. He does not say that pain is meaningless. Instead, he sits with it, observes it, learns from it, and then slowly refuses to worship it. This is the difference between healing and suffering. Healing says, "This hurt me, but I will not become it." Suffering says, "This hurt me, so now I will build my whole identity around it." Many people do not realize how much energy they give to the things they claim they want to forget. They say they want peace, but they keep feeding the memory. They say they want freedom, but they keep checking the same person, revisiting the same wound, repeating the same story, and giving fresh life to something that should have been buried with wisdom. They say they want to move forward, but their attention is still chained to what broke them. The mind cannot walk into a new life while both hands are still carrying the ashes of the old one. Listen carefully to this, because it can change the way you see your own pain. What you repeatedly think about, you continue to water. What you continue to water, you continue to grow. If you water regret, regret grows. If you water anger, anger grows. If you water fear, fear grows. If you water the memory of betrayal every day, betrayal becomes larger in your inner world than the life that is still waiting for you outside of it. This is why two people can experience the same wound and become completely different. One waters bitterness and becomes heavy. The other waters wisdom and becomes powerful. The monk does not ask, "How can I erase this pain?" because he knows that some pain cannot be erased by force. Instead, he asks, "How can I stop giving this pain my future?" That question is powerful because it separates the wound from your identity. You may have been rejected, but rejection is not your name. You may have been betrayed, but betrayal is not your destiny. You may have failed, but failure is not your final form. You may have lost something precious, but loss is not the whole story of your life. The mind becomes free when it stops turning temporary experiences into permanent definitions. Pain becomes dangerous when it starts giving instructions to your future. A heart that has been betrayed may begin saying, "Never trust again." A mind that has failed may begin saying, "Never try again." A person who was abandoned may begin saying, "Never love again." A soul that was criticized may begin saying, "Never show yourself again." This is how pain slowly becomes a hidden master. It does not only hurt you in the moment. It begins designing your decisions, shaping your beliefs, and building walls around the very parts of you that still need light. But the monk knows that pain should be a teacher, not a ruler. A teacher gives you a lesson and then allows you to grow. A ruler takes your freedom and demands obedience. When pain teaches you boundaries, humility, patience, compassion, and awareness, it becomes wisdom. But when pain teaches you fear, bitterness, revenge, emotional isolation, and hatred toward life, it has stopped being a teacher and has become a prison guard. You must be honest enough to ask yourself whether your pain is making you wiser or simply making you harder. There is a big difference between becoming strong and becoming closed. Many people confuse the two. They say, "I am stronger now." But what they really mean is, "I no longer allow myself to feel." They say, "I do not care anymore." But beneath those words is a heart that cares deeply and is only trying to protect itself from being wounded again. The monk does not teach you to become cold. He teaches you to become conscious. Coldness is not strength. Numbness is not peace. True strength is feeling deeply without being controlled by what you feel. True peace is keeping the heart open without allowing everyone to enter without wisdom. If you want to master your mind, you must stop confusing remembrance with healing. Replaying the past is not healing. Imagining what you should have said is not healing. Waiting for someone to apologize before you can breathe again is not healing. Proving that you were right is not healing. Healing begins when you stop making your peace dependent on a past that may never give you the answer you wanted. Healing begins when you accept that some people will never understand the damage they caused. Some situations will never be explained clearly. Some chapters will close without justice, and some wounds must be healed by your own decision to stop carrying them. This does not mean that what happened was acceptable. It means you are no longer willing to let it own your inner world. Forgiveness does not always mean returning. Letting go does not always mean forgetting. Moving on does not mean the pain was small. It means your life is bigger than what happened to you. It means you have finally understood that holding the fire longer will not burn the person who gave it to you. It will only burn your own hands. The monk watches pain the way he watches a storm passing through the mountains. The storm is loud, powerful, and impossible to ignore. But the mountain does not chase it, argue with it, or become it. The mountain allows the storm to pass while remaining rooted in its own nature. This is what you must learn. When sadness comes, let it pass. When anger comes, let it pass. When fear comes, let it pass. When the memory returns, do not invite it to sit forever. Acknowledge it, breathe, learn what it came to show you, and return to the present moment where your real life is waiting. The present moment is the only place where your power exists. You cannot discipline yesterday. You cannot breathe tomorrow. You cannot rewrite a conversation from 5 years ago. You cannot control what someone chose to do when they were acting from their own darkness. But you can control what you feed today. You can control whether your morning begins with awareness or old pain. You can control whether your silence becomes peace or punishment. You can control whether your mind becomes a temple of discipline or a battlefield of memories. Every day gives you a chance to stop feeding what is finished and start strengthening what is still possible. One of the deepest forms of mastery is learning to carry pain without allowing it to poison you. Everyone carries something. Even the calmest person you see has survived private storms. Even the strongest smile has known nights of heaviness. Even the most disciplined soul has faced moments where giving up felt easier than continuing. The difference is not that strong people have no pain. The difference is that they no longer allow pain to choose their behavior, their words, their relationships, their dreams, or their future. You may not be able to control what wounded you, but you can control whether the wound becomes your weakness or your wisdom. You can control whether it makes you bitter or more compassionate. You can control whether it closes your heart or teaches you to choose more carefully. You can control whether it becomes an excuse to remain stuck or a reason to rise with greater awareness. The same pain that destroys one person can awaken another, and the difference is always the mind that receives it. So today, stop feeding the pain that has already taken enough from you. Stop giving your best energy to memories that cannot give anything back. Stop letting people live inside your mind without permission. Stop turning old wounds into daily rituals. Stop waiting for the past to change before you allow yourself to become peaceful. The past will not return to rescue you. The future will not build itself while you remain trapped in yesterday. The only moment that can save you is the one you are standing inside right now. Place your attention where life still exists. Place it on your breath. Place it on your discipline. Place it on your growth. Place it on the person you are becoming. Place it on the quiet strength inside you that survived everything you thought would destroy you. The mind becomes unbreakable not because it has never been hurt, but because it has learned how to stop turning hurt into a home. Pain may visit you, but it must not rule you. Memories may return, but they must not command you. The past may speak, but it must not become your master. You are not here to live forever inside what broke your peace. You are here to learn, rise, strengthen your spirit, and walk forward with a mind so disciplined that even your deepest wounds become part of your wisdom. This is how pain becomes power. Not when you deny it, not when you run from it, but when you stop feeding it and finally begin feeding the life that is still waiting for you. Lesson 6. A strong mind does not beg the world to understand. One of the deepest signs of a mind that has not yet become free is the need to be understood by everyone. Many people do not realize how much of their peace is being destroyed by this hidden hunger. They explain themselves again and again to people who have already decided not to listen. They defend their intentions to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. They repeat the truth to ears that only want drama. They chase closure from people who created confusion. They search for validation from people who never had the wisdom to recognize their value in the first place. This is how the world controls the untrained mind. It does not always control you through fear. Sometimes it controls you through the need to be approved. It makes you believe that you cannot rest until they understand your heart, until they respect your pain, until they admit what they did, until they see your side, until they say you were right, until they finally recognize that you were not the person they accused you of being. But the monk understands a truth that many people learn only after years of emotional exhaustion. Not every person deserves access to your explanation, and not every misunderstanding deserves your energy. There will be people who misunderstand you because they genuinely do not know the truth, and there will be people who misunderstand you because misunderstanding you benefits their version of the story. The first group may need patience. The second group needs distance. If someone is honest, your words can help them see more clearly. But if someone is attached to their judgment, even your purest explanation will be twisted into another weapon against you. A wise person learns the difference. The weak mind believes peace comes from being accepted. The trained mind understands peace comes from being aligned. Acceptance depends on other people. Alignment depends on you. Acceptance changes when moods change, opinions change, crowds change, and circumstances change. Alignment remains steady because it is rooted in your own values, your own discipline, your own self-respect, and your own quiet knowing that you are walking with sincerity even when nobody claps for you. Many people are living as prisoners of other people's perceptions. Before they speak, they ask, how will this look? Before they choose, they ask, what will they think? Before they rest, they ask, will they judge me? Before they grow, they ask, will they leave me? They become so busy protecting an image that they forget to protect their soul. They become so focused on being liked that they abandon the deeper work of becoming real. They spend years performing strength while secretly begging for permission to be themselves. The monk does not live this way. He does not shape his life around the opinions of people who do not carry his burdens, do not know his battles, and will not stand before the consequences of his choices. He listens when wisdom speaks, but he does not bow before every opinion. He accepts correction when it is truthful, but he does not absorb every criticism like a command from heaven. He remains open enough to learn, but rooted enough not to be blown away by every passing voice. This is one of the highest forms of mental strength, to remain teachable without becoming fragile, to remain humble without becoming dependent, to remain kind without becoming available to every emotional demand placed upon you. Many people confuse humility with self-erasure. They think being spiritual means allowing everyone to step over their boundaries, drain their energy, insult their growth, and still receive endless access. But true wisdom does not make you weak. True wisdom makes you clear. A strong mind knows when to speak and when silence is more powerful than explanation. Silence is not always avoidance. Sometimes silence is discipline. Sometimes silence is dignity. Sometimes silence is the final answer to someone who has already proven that your words will not be respected. The world will often call your silence pride because it expected access to your reaction. But the monk knows that silence can be a locked gate, protecting a peaceful garden from those who only came to destroy the flowers. Think about how many arguments in your life were not really about truth but about ego. How many times did you continue speaking, not because the conversation was useful, but because you wanted to win? How many times did you explain yourself to someone who was not listening, but you kept going because your pride could not tolerate being misrepresented? How many times did you lose your peace trying to prove your purity to someone whose heart was already full of suspicion? The mind that needs to win every argument will lose its inner peace again and again. The monk asks a different question. He does not ask, how can I make them understand? He asks, is this conversation worthy of my peace? This question changes everything. Some conversations are doors. They lead to healing, clarity, wisdom, and deeper understanding. Other conversations are traps. They look like communication, but they are really cycles of blame, defense, emotional manipulation, and wasted energy. The trained mind learns to recognize when a door has become a trap, and when that moment comes, walking away is not defeat, it is freedom. You must understand that your energy is not unlimited. Every explanation costs energy. Every argument costs energy. Every emotional defense costs energy. Every attempt to be seen by someone committed to blindness costs energy. If you spend your strength trying to convince the wrong people, you will have nothing left to build the right life. The monk guards his energy because he knows that attention is life force. Where your attention goes, your life begins to follow. Give your attention to chaos and chaos grows. Give your attention to discipline and discipline grows. Give your attention to inner peace, and peace becomes stronger. There is also a painful truth hidden inside the need to be understood. Sometimes you are not truly seeking understanding. Sometimes you are seeking permission to stop doubting yourself. You want someone else to confirm that your pain was real, that your choice was right, that your boundary was fair, that your silence was necessary, that your growth is valid. But the moment your peace depends on another person confirming your reality, you have handed them authority over your inner world. The monk does not wait for the world to approve his healing. He heals because his spirit can no longer afford to remain wounded. This does not mean you become arrogant. It does not mean you stop listening. It does not mean you believe you are always right. A disciplined mind is not closed. A disciplined mind is clear. It can listen without collapsing. It can receive feedback without losing identity. It can apologize without hating itself. It can change direction without feeling ashamed. This is real strength. Weak people defend every mistake because their ego is too fragile to learn. Strong people can admit error because their identity is deeper than being perfect. But there is a difference between correction and control. Correction helps you grow. Control tries to make you smaller. Correction comes with truth. Control comes with pressure. Correction respects your humanity. Control uses your emotions against you. Correction feels firm but clean. Control feels confusing, heavy, and exhausting. The monk listens to correction, but he refuses control. He welcomes wisdom, but he rejects manipulation. He opens his heart to truth, but he does not surrender his mind to every voice that speaks with confidence. When your mind becomes strong, you stop needing revenge for every wound. You stop needing to clear your name in every room. You stop needing to prove that you have changed to people who are still committed to remembering your old version. You stop needing to be chosen by people who never truly valued your presence. You stop needing to be loved by people who only love you when you abandon yourself. This is not coldness. This is maturity. This is the moment you realize that peace is more valuable than being constantly available, constantly understood, constantly defended, and constantly approved. There will be seasons when your growth will make people uncomfortable. When you stop reacting, they may call you distant. When you stop explaining, they may call you arrogant. When you set boundaries, they may call you selfish. When you choose peace, they may say you have changed. Let them say it. Growth always disappoints the people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. Your calmness will disturb those who were used to controlling you through guilt. Your silence will confuse those who were used to feeding on your reactions. Your discipline will expose those who preferred your weakness. Do not return to your old self just because some people cannot handle your new strength. Do not shrink your peace to fit inside someone else's comfort. Do not break your own discipline to prove that you are still the person they remember. The version of you that always explained, always chased, always apologized for needing space, always accepted less than respect, and always carried emotional burdens that were not yours, had to end so that a wiser version could live. A monk walks his path knowing that many will not understand the path from a distance. Some will judge the silence because they do not know the battles it took to earn it. Some will judge the discipline because they do not know the chaos it saved him from. Some will judge the solitude because they do not know how many times the wrong company cost him peace. Some will judge the calmness because they do not know the storms that trained it. This is why he does not live for their understanding. He lives from his awareness. You must learn to become at peace with being misunderstood by people who are not walking your path. Not everyone sees the mountain you are climbing. Not everyone knows the weight you have carried. Not everyone understands the private promises you have made to your future self. Not everyone deserves to enter the sacred space where your transformation is taking place. Some parts of your growth must remain protected until they are strong enough to stand in the open. The moment you stop begging the world to understand you, you recover enormous power. Your mind becomes quieter. Your decisions become cleaner. Your boundaries become stronger. Your emotions become less dependent on external reactions. You begin to move with a calm confidence that does not require announcement. You no longer explain your peace to people who only understand chaos. You no longer translate your soul for people committed to misreading it. You no longer exhaust yourself proving your value to those who were never meant to recognize it. This is not loneliness. This is self-respect. This is not bitterness. This is freedom. This is not pride. This is the wisdom of a person who has finally understood that the world can have opinions, but it cannot have control unless you give it permission. So walk your path with clarity. Speak when speaking is useful. Stay silent when silence protects your peace. Listen when wisdom appears. Walk away when manipulation disguises itself as conversation. Apologize when you are wrong. Stand firm when your boundary is right. Love people without becoming their prisoner. Forgive people without handing them the keys to your mind again. Because a strong mind does not need every person to understand. A strong mind needs only one thing: to remain honest before itself, disciplined in its actions, peaceful in its spirit, and unbroken no matter how loudly the world misunderstands its silence. Lesson 7. Mastery begins when chaos no longer decides who you become. The final lesson is the lesson that separates a person who only listens to wisdom from a person who actually becomes wisdom. Many people enjoy powerful words, deep teachings, spiritual reminders, and motivational speeches because for a moment they feel strong, calm, inspired, and ready to change their lives. But the monk knows that inspiration is only the doorway. The real test begins when life becomes difficult again, when old emotions return, when people test your patience, when fear enters your chest, when discipline feels heavy, when the past whispers your name, and when the world gives you a clear opportunity to return to the same version of yourself you said you were leaving behind. This is where mastery begins. Not when the room is peaceful, not when everyone respects you, not when your plans are working, not when your body feels rested, not when your mind feels naturally calm. Mastery begins when everything inside you wants to react, but a deeper awareness rises and says, no, this time I will choose differently. That one moment may look small from the outside, but inside the soul it is a revolution. It is the moment you stop being controlled by habit and begin being guided by consciousness. Most people believe they will become strong when life becomes easier. They tell themselves, when the pressure is gone, I will become peaceful. When people stop hurting me, I will become calm. When money improves, I will become disciplined. When the past stops bothering me, I will finally move forward. But the monk understands that waiting for the world to become perfect before training the mind is like waiting for the ocean to become still before learning how to swim. Life will always move. People will always change. Challenges will always arrive. Emotions will always rise and fall. If your peace depends on the world becoming easy, then your peace will always remain in the hands of something outside your control. A trained mind does not ask life to stop testing it. A trained mind becomes strong enough to meet the test without losing itself. This is the difference between wishing for peace and becoming peace. Wishing for peace means you need the storm to disappear. Becoming peace means the storm can stand in front of you, but it no longer enters your bones, controls your tongue, poisons your decisions, or turns you into someone you no longer respect. This does not happen through one speech, one meditation, one good day, or one moment of motivation. It happens through repeated inner victories that slowly create a new identity. Think of the old version of you, the version that reacted quickly, trusted every emotion, replayed every wound, chased every approval, feared every rejection, explained too much, carried too much, and allowed every external event to decide the weather inside your heart. That version did not appear in one day. It was trained through repetition. Every reaction strengthened it, every fear fed it, every excuse protected it, every memory repeated it, every boundary ignored it. In the same way, the new version of you will also be built through repetition. Every pause will strengthen it. Every disciplined action will feed it. Every moment of silence will protect it. Every time you refuse to return to old patterns, you give life to the person you are becoming. This is why the monk respects practice more than promises. Promises are easy when emotions are high. Practice is different. Practice asks you to show up when no one is impressed. Practice asks you to choose calm when anger feels powerful. Practice asks you to choose patience when rushing feels natural. Practice asks you to choose discipline when comfort looks attractive. Practice asks you to choose self-respect when loneliness tempts you to return to people who already proved they cannot protect your peace. Practice is the bridge between the wisdom you admire and the character you actually live. There will come a day when life will test the exact lesson you thought you had already mastered. You may think you have mastered anger, and then someone will speak to you in a way that touches an old wound. You may think you have mastered detachment, and then someone from the past will return with words that shake your heart. You may think you have mastered discipline, and then comfort will appear at the exact moment your future needs your effort. You may think you have mastered peace, and then uncertainty will knock on your door without warning. Do not be discouraged when this happens. Life is not proving that you failed. Life is revealing where your training must become deeper. A monk does not hate the test, he studies it. When anger rises, he asks, "What part of me still believes reaction is power?" When fear rises, he asks, "What story am I believing that has not yet become reality?" When jealousy rises, he asks, "What insecurity is asking for my attention?" When sadness returns, he asks, "What wound still needs compassion instead of judgment?" When temptation appears, he asks, "What future am I about to sacrifice for a temporary feeling?" This is how every difficulty becomes a teacher. This is how every emotional storm becomes a mirror. This is how life itself becomes the training ground for an unbreakable mind. You must understand that becoming unbreakable does not mean becoming emotionless. This is where many people misunderstand strength. They think a strong person never feels pain, never cries, never misses anyone, never becomes tired, never feels fear, and never has moments of doubt. That is not strength, that is a mask. True strength is not the absence of feeling. True strength is the ability to feel everything deeply and still not abandon your wisdom. True strength is carrying a heavy heart and still choosing not to harm others. True strength is feeling fear and still walking forward. True strength is being disappointed and still not allowing bitterness to become your personality. True strength is being hurt and still refusing to become the kind of person who hurts others just because you were wounded. The world will always try to pull you back into unconscious living. It will tell you to react because reaction feels immediate. It will tell you to chase because chasing feels urgent. It will tell you to compare because comparison feels normal. It will tell you to numb yourself because stillness feels uncomfortable. It will tell you to speak before thinking because silence feels difficult. But every time you obey the world without awareness, you become easier to control. Every time you pause, breathe, observe, and choose from your deeper self, you reclaim another piece of your freedom. One day you must become tired of being controlled by the same patterns. Tired of letting one message change your whole mood. Tired of letting one memory steal your whole night. Tired of letting one person's behavior decide your self-worth. Tired of letting fear make your decisions before courage even has a chance to speak. Tired of beginning again and again because you keep returning to the same habits that broke your peace before. That kind of tiredness can become sacred if you use it correctly. It can become the moment you finally say, "Enough. I am no longer available for the version of myself that keeps betraying my future." From that moment, your life must become training, not punishment. Training. The way you wake up becomes training. The way you speak becomes training. The way you handle disappointment becomes training. The way you respond when someone disrespects you becomes training. The way you sit with loneliness becomes training. The way you use your attention becomes training. The way you protect your energy becomes training. The way you keep promises to yourself becomes training. When every part of life becomes training, nothing is wasted. Even pain becomes useful. Even silence becomes powerful. Even delay becomes preparation. Even rejection becomes redirection. Even failure becomes instruction. The monk does not divide life into spiritual moments and ordinary moments. For him, every moment is part of the path. Washing the floor can train patience. Sitting in silence can train awareness. Listening to someone without interrupting can train humility. Walking away from conflict can train discipline. Continuing after failure can train courage. Waiting without anxiety can train trust. Being alone without desperation can train inner stability. This is why the monk's power is not only visible during meditation, it appears in his eyes, his breath, his speech, his choices, his silence, and his ability to remain rooted while life changes around him. Most people lose themselves because they have no inner anchor. They are carried by moods, crowds, trends, opinions, desires, and fears. When life praises them, they rise. When life criticizes them, they collapse. When someone loves them, they feel whole. When someone leaves them, they feel empty. When things go well, they believe in themselves. When things fall apart, they question their worth. Their inner world is always being controlled by outer weather. The monk becomes different because he builds an anchor inside himself. That anchor is awareness. That anchor is discipline. That anchor is self-respect. That anchor is the quiet knowing that no matter what happens outside, he still has the power to choose who he becomes inside. This is the highest victory, not winning every argument, not controlling every outcome, not forcing everyone to respect you, not becoming admired by the crowd. The highest victory is reaching a state where the world can disturb your circumstances but cannot easily disturb your character. It can delay your plans, but it cannot destroy your discipline. It can misunderstand your silence, but it cannot steal your clarity. It can bring pain to your door, but it cannot force you to become bitter. It can test your patience, but it cannot command your reaction unless you hand it permission. When you reach this stage, you begin to move differently. You stop rushing to prove yourself because your life is no longer a performance. You stop chasing people because your worth is no longer dependent on being chosen. You stop fearing solitude because you have learned how to sit with yourself without running away. You stop fearing failure because you understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is one of the tools that shapes a strong mind. You stop fearing the future because you know that whatever comes, you will meet it with the same breath, the same awareness, and the same discipline that brought you this far. But remember, this mastery is not a final destination where you never struggle again. It is a path you return to every day. Some days you will be calm, some days you will feel tested, some days the old mind will try to speak louder than the new one, some days you will make mistakes, some days you will need to begin again. Do not use these moments to attack yourself, use them to return. The monk does not become powerful because he never falls from awareness. He becomes powerful because he returns to awareness faster each time. Falling is not failure. Forgetting the path forever is failure. Returning is strength. So when chaos comes, do not ask, why is this happening to me? First ask, who am I being asked to become through this? When someone hurts you, do not only ask, how can I make them pay? Ask, how can I protect my heart without poisoning it? When life delays something you wanted, do not only ask, why am I being denied? Ask, what must be strengthened in me before I can carry what I am asking for? When fear appears, do not immediately obey it. Sit with it, look at it, breathe through it, then decide from wisdom, not panic. This is how a person becomes unbroken. Not by avoiding all pain, not by escaping all problems, not by being loved by everyone, not by winning every battle outside. A person becomes unbroken when the mind becomes trained enough to remain conscious under pressure, disciplined under temptation, calm under provocation, humble under success, patient under delay, and wise under pain. That kind of person cannot be easily controlled, because their center no longer belongs to the world. Life may still bring storms. People may still misunderstand you. The past may still knock sometimes. Fear may still visit. Pressure may still rise. But now there is someone stronger standing at the gate of your mind. Someone who observes before reacting. Someone who breathes before speaking. Someone who chooses discipline before comfort. Someone who protects peace before pride. Someone who remembers that every moment is training, and every test is another chance to become more rooted, more aware, more powerful, and more free. This is the final lesson. Do not wait for life to become easy before you become strong. Become strong now, while life is still testing you. Become calm now, while the world is still noisy. Become disciplined now, while comfort is still calling. Become peaceful now, while people are still unpredictable. Become conscious now, while old habits still try to pull you backward. Because if you can master your mind in the middle of chaos, then life can change around you, but it will no longer control the person within you. And when the person within you becomes unshakable, the world may still move, but it can no longer decide who you are. Now listen carefully, because this is the moment where the teaching must stop being only words and must become the way you live. Control your mind before life controls you, because life will not always ask softly. Sometimes it will test you through pressure. Sometimes it will test you through people. Sometimes it will test you through silence, delay, rejection, loneliness, temptation, failure, criticism, and memories you thought you had already buried. Life will come in many forms, but the real question will always be the same. Will you return to your old reactions, or will you stand in the strength of the person you are becoming? The world does not need to break your body if it can first break your focus. It does not need to steal your future if it can steal your attention every morning. It does not need to defeat your purpose if it can convince you to obey every fear, every emotion, every distraction, and every painful thought that enters your mind without discipline. This is why the monk trains, not to escape life, but to meet life without losing himself. He trains his breath so anger cannot command his tongue. He trains his silence so ego cannot drag him into useless battles. He trains his discipline so comfort cannot steal his destiny. He trains his awareness so fear cannot become his master. He trains his heart so pain cannot turn him into someone cold, bitter, and empty. And this is what you must remember. You are not weak because thoughts attack you. You are not broken because emotions rise inside you. You are not lost because the past still visits sometimes. You become weak only when you hand your mind to every thought. You become broken only when you let pain become your identity. You become lost only when you stop returning to the quiet power that still lives within you. So from today, do not fight your mind with hatred. Train it with patience. Do not run from your emotions. Observe them with awareness. Do not beg the world to become peaceful. Become the peace that the world cannot easily disturb. When anger comes, breathe before you speak. When fear comes, stand before you run. When pain comes, learn before you collapse. When people misunderstand you, remain steady before you explain. When the past calls your name, remember that not every door behind you deserves to be opened again. Your mind is a garden. If you do not protect it, the world will plant fear inside it. People will plant doubt inside it. The past will plant regret inside it. Distraction will plant weakness inside it. But if you become conscious, if you become disciplined, if you become unbroken from within, then you will choose what grows there. You will plant patience. You will plant courage. You will plant silence. You will plant wisdom. You will plant peace. And one day, the same mind that once felt like a prison will become your temple. The same thoughts that once controlled you will become servants of your higher purpose. The same pain that once broke your peace will become the soil where your strongest self was born. Never forget this truth. You cannot control every storm, but you can train the one who stands inside the storm. You cannot control every person, but you can control how much space they occupy in your mind. You cannot control the past, but you can control whether you keep feeding it with your future. You cannot control every test, but you can control whether the test makes you weaker or wiser. This is the path of the unbroken mind. Not a life without pain, not a heart without scars, not a journey without struggle, but a spirit that refuses to be ruled by fear, a mind that refuses to be owned by chaos, and a soul that keeps returning to discipline no matter how many times life tries to pull it away. So walk from this moment differently. Walk slower but stronger. Speak less but with more truth. React less but understand more. Chase less but become more. Carry less pain but carry more wisdom. And when life becomes heavy, remember these words. Master your mind before life breaks you. Because the person who controls his mind cannot be easily controlled by people, pain, fear, failure, or the past. Protect your peace, train your spirit. Become still, become disciplined, become unbroken. And if this message reached the part of you that is ready to rise, comment these words with full intention. I master my mind.